A magnificent wild Mustang stallion was cornered by predators at the top of a 50-foot waterfall. No escape route, no hope of survival. What happened next stunned even the most experienced wildlife observers. A leap that defied every natural survival instinct, followed by something so extraordinary it forever changed our understanding of these majestic animals' intelligence and courage. Get ready to witness one of the most breathtaking moments ever captured in the wild. Before we begin, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn on notifications. This helps us bring more inspiring stories like this to you. Thunder was no ordinary wild horse. At 8 years old, the jet-black Mustang stallion had become legendary among wildlife photographers. In Wyoming's Wind River Range, his coat gleamed like polished onyx in the sunlight, and his flowing mane cascaded like a black waterfall down his powerful neck. As the leader of his band, Thunder displayed intelligence that seemed almost supernatural. He could detect predators from miles away, find hidden water sources during droughts, and navigate treacherous mountain passes that other herds avoided. These abilities helped his band 5 mares and 3 foals survive in a wilderness where many others perished. Wildlife photographer Sarah Mitchell had tracked Thunder's band for 3 years, documenting their remarkable resilience. "He's different," she often told colleagues. "There's something in his eyes, a calculation and understanding that goes beyond normal animal instinct." That fateful morning, Sarah had positioned herself on a ridge overlooking Thunder Valley, named after the stallion himself. Through her telephoto lens, she watched as the band grazed peacefully in the golden morning light. Unaware of the danger approaching from the north, a pack of gray wolves, 7 strong, had been shadowing the horses for days. Led by a battle-scarred alpha male, they had waited patiently for the perfect opportunity. As the horses moved toward their morning watering spot along a narrow cliff path, the wolves separated into 2 groups, executing a strategy they had clearly planned well in advance. Thunder detected the threat first. His head snapped up, ears forward, nostrils flaring. He issued a sharp, warning neigh to his band, positioning himself protectively between the approaching predators and his family. The mares immediately circled the foals, moving away from the cliff's edge. Sarah watched through her camera, heart pounding, as she realized what was happening. The wolves weren't targeting the vulnerable foals. As expected, they were deliberately isolating Thunder himself. The wolves' strategy was both brilliant and terrifying. 3 blocked the path back to the valley while 4 others closed in from the direction of the watering hole. Thunder was being deliberately driven toward the most dangerous section of the ridge, where the cliff dropped straight down to a waterfall 50 feet below. Sarah's hands trembled as she captured the unfolding drama through her lens. In 15 years of wildlife photography, she had never witnessed such calculated hunting behavior. These weren't opportunistic predators, they were executing a pre-planned ambush, specifically designed for this location. Thunder's band retreated to safer ground, the mares hustling the nervous foals away from danger. But their leader was now cut off exactly as the wolves had intended. The alpha wolf, a massive gray male with a distinctive scar across his muzzle, led the advance. Forcing Thunder step by step toward the precipice, the stallion fought back. With the weapons nature had given him, sharp hooves and powerful kicks, capable of shattering a wolf's skull with a single blow. But the pack was too disciplined, darting in and out of range, never presenting a clear target for his defensive strikes. Each coordinated attack pushed him closer to the cliff's edge. Thunder's eyes showed no panic, only intense calculation. He seemed to understand exactly what the wolves were doing and was searching for a counter strategy. But with every backward step, his options were vanishing. Sarah's telephoto lens captured the moment when Thunder's rear hooves felt the edge of the cliff. Small rocks and loose dirt crumbled away, falling into the void behind him. The wolves sensed victory. Their formation tightened. The alpha male closed in. Yellow eyes locked with the stallion's dark ones in a primal confrontation. Thunder's band watched from a distance, whinnying desperately as their leader faced what appeared to be certain death. The wolves had formed a semicircle, leaving only one possible escape route, the deadly drop behind him. "He's trapped," Sarah whispered to herself. her finger never leaving the camera's shutter button. There's nowhere to go. Below, the waterfall thundered into a deep pool, the white water churning violently against jagged rocks. No horse had ever been known to voluntarily jump from such a height. Even if Thunder somehow survived the fall, the wolves could simply race down the trail to the pool and wait for him if he emerged at all. A strange calm seemed to come over Thunder. As he stood at the edge of the precipice, the morning sun illuminated his powerful silhouette, turning his black coat almost blue in the light. The wolves had stopped advancing as if sensing the final moment had arrived. Their prey had nowhere left to retreat. That Sarah watched, barely breathing. As Thunder did something completely unexpected, he turned his head to look behind him, not in panic, but with deliberate assessment. His gaze tracked down the waterfall, to the churning pool below, then across the surrounding terrain. He seemed to be calculating something Sarah couldn't yet comprehend. The alpha wolf, sensing hesitation, lunged, teeth bared, aiming for Thunder's front leg. The stallion reared magnificently, hooves slashing the air, forcing the wolf to retreat. But the attack served its purpose. Two other wolves moved in from the sides, further restricting Thunder's already limited space. What happened next occurred so quickly that Sarah would later have to review her photos frame by frame to fully understand the sequence. Thunder gathered himself, muscles bunching beneath his gleaming coat. Instead of charging the wolves or surrendering to their attacks, he made a decision that defied all known equine behavior. The stallion backed up until his rear hooves were partially off the cliff's edge. For a heart-stopping moment, he seemed suspended between earth and air. Then, with explosive power, he launched himself forward 3 enormous strides and leaped, not at the wolves, but directly off the cliff, into empty space. No, Sarah gasped, momentarily pulling away from her viewfinder in shot before quickly resuming her documentation of the unthinkable. Through her lens, she captured Thunder's body silhouetted against the blue sky, legs extended, mane and tail streaming behind him like black banners. The perfect image of wild freedom and what appeared to be his final act of defiance. The wolves stood frozen at the cliff's edge, seemingly as stunned as Sarah by their prey's choice. For what felt like an eternity, the stallion hung suspended in midair, gravity not yet asserting its inevitable pull. His body remained perfectly controlled, not tumbling, but positioned deliberately as if jumping a normal obstacle rather than plummeting 50 feet toward the unforgiving water below. The impact sent a massive plume of white water exploding upward, the sound reaching Sarah seconds after the visual. Then nothing, just the continuous roar of the waterfall and the slowly settling surface of the pool. The wolves paced at the cliff's edge, their carefully executed plan disrupted by an outcome they never could have anticipated. Seconds stretched into an eternity. As Sarah kept her camera trained on the churning pool, the wolves above began to disperse, some lingering to watch the water, others already making their way down the winding trail that led to the base of the falls. They clearly expected either a drowned horse or, at the very least, an injured one they could easily finish off once it struggled from the water. For nearly 30 seconds, there was no sign of Thunder. Even Sarah had begun to accept the inevitable. No horse could survive such a fall, and even if Thunder had somehow lived through the impact, he would likely be stunned, disoriented, and unable to swim in the turbulent water. Then, at the far edge of the pool, the surface broke first, a black muzzle, then the entire regal head emerged. Water streamed from Thunder's mane as he took a desperate breath. He was alive, but survival now hung by an even more precarious thread. Horses are not natural swimmers. Their heavy, muscular bodies aren't built for buoyancy. A panicked horse in water often drowns quickly, and Thunder had just endured a traumatic fall that should have left him severely injured or worse. Yet what Sarah witnessed next defied explanation. Rather than thrashing or swimming aimlessly, Thunder moved with purpose. He oriented himself immediately, those intelligent eyes scanning the shoreline. He seemed to register the wolves already descending the trail toward the pool, and made a critical decision. Instead of swimming toward the nearest shore, where the first wolves would soon arrive, he struck out for the opposite bank, a steeper, rockier section that would be more difficult for the wolves to access quickly. The current from the waterfall created a powerful flow working against him. but Thunder's powerful legs adopted a swimming motion that propelled him steadily forward. Sarah swung her camera to capture the approaching wolves, then back to Thunder's swimming form. It was a race against time. Could he reach the far shore before the predators reached the water's edge? With tremendous effort, the stallion fought through the churning water. Halfway across, he encountered the strongest part of the current, and for a terrifying moment, he appeared to be pushed backward toward the base of the falls. But with renewed determination, he pushed forward again, each powerful stroke bringing him closer to safety. The first wolf reached the shoreline, just as Thunder's hooves found purchase, on the rocky bottom of the pool's far side. Exhausted but undefeated, the magnificent stallion pulled himself from the water, his black coat gleaming, his sides heaving with exertion. Remarkably, he showed no signs of serious injury. The deep pool had cushioned his fall enough to prevent catastrophic damage. The wolves gathered at the water's edge, but none attempted to swim across. The hunt was over. With a shake that sent water spraying in all directions, Thunder gathered himself on the rocky shore. The wolves paced along the opposite bank, frustrated but unwilling to pursue through the water. Their complex ambush had been defeated by a strategy they could never have anticipated. Sarah quickly repositioned herself, scrambling along the ridge to maintain visual contact with the stallion. Through her telephoto lens, she could see that Thunder was miraculously unharmed, a miracle considering the height of his fall. His movements showed no sign of broken bones or major injuries, though exhaustion was evident in his heaving sides and slightly unsteady stance. After allowing himself only a brief moment to recover, Thunder raised his head and issued a powerful, resonant call that echoed through the canyon. It was answered almost immediately from the distance. His band had heard him and was responding. The connection between the stallion and his family remained unbroken. For the next 20 minutes, Sarah documented Thunder's careful movement along the shoreline. He wasn't fleeing in panic but navigating with clear purpose, following the water's edge to a point where the canyon walls were less steep. With remarkable patience, he found a natural path leading upward away from the water and toward higher ground. The wolves had split up, some following parallel to Thunder on the opposite shore, others disappearing into the forest, presumably circling around to cut off his potential route back to the herd. But the stallion seemed to anticipate their movements, choosing a path that would be difficult for the predators to intercept. Nearly an hour after his incredible leap, Thunder crested a ridge and came into view of his waiting band. The reunion was emotional even to Sarah's experienced eyes. The mares approached their leader with clear signs of recognition and relief, surrounding him protectively while the foal pranced nervously at the edge of the group. One by one, each member of the band greeted Thunder, touching noses in the equine ritual of recognition. Despite his ordeal, he immediately reassumed his leadership role, moving purposefully to check on each member of his family before organizing them into a traveling formation. The wolves had lost this round. Within minutes, Thunder was leading his band away from the danger zone at a steady trot, occasionally looking back as if to ensure they weren't being followed. His route cleverly utilized open terrain where any approaching predators would be easily visible. Sarah captured the final frames of the black stallion silhouetted against the morning sky, his head held high and his stride strong, despite his recent brush with death. It was a sequence of images that would soon astonish wildlife experts around the world. The scientific community initially reacted with skepticism. When Sarah's photographs were published, Dr. James Harrington, a leading equine behavior specialist from Colorado State University, was the first to publicly question the validity of the sequence. "Horses simply don't make these kinds of calculated decisions," he said. He stated in his initial review, "This appears to be either a misinterpretation of events or a highly unusual accident." But as additional evidence emerged, including video footage from another photographer who had captured portions of the event from a different angle, even the skeptics were forced to reconsider. The frame-by-frame analysis confirmed what Sarah had witnessed. Thunder had made a deliberate choice to jump, had controlled his body position during the fall, and had strategically chosen his escape route after surviving the impact. 3 months after the waterfall incident, a research team led by Dr. Elizabeth Morgan, established an observation post overlooking Thunder's territory. What they documented over the next year would challenge fundamental assumptions about equine cognition and behavior adaptation. The first surprising observation came when Thunder's band encountered another cliff edge during migration. Instead of avoiding the area entirely, the stallion led his group to the overlook. The entire band, including the young foals, carefully approached the edge and appeared to study the terrain below, behavior Dr. Morgan described as environmental mapping. Even more remarkably, when the band encountered a much smaller waterfall approximately 10 feet high the following spring, something extraordinary happened. One of Thunder's mares became separated from the group during a mountain lion encounter. Rather than taking a longer route around the obstacle to rejoin the band, the mare made a controlled leap into the pool below, successfully swimming to safety. What we're witnessing is knowledge transfer, Dr. Morgan explained in her published findings. Thunder's survival strategy has been observed, understood, and adopted by other members of his band. This goes far beyond instinctive behavior. This is adaptive learning and strategic problem solving at a level we've never documented in wild equines. The implications extended beyond academic interests. Wildlife management policies began incorporating this new understanding of Mustang intelligence into conservation planning. Areas previously considered natural barriers that would contain wild horse populations were reassessed. Perhaps most significantly, Thunder's story sparked renewed public interest in protecting America's wild horses. His leap had not only saved his own life, but had inadvertently created a powerful symbol of wild freedom and intelligence that resonated with people worldwide. 5 years after Thunder's legendary jump, Sarah returned to the Wind River Range for a follow-up documentary. The Black Stallion was now 13, entering his senior years for a wild Mustang, but reports from local rangers confirmed he still led his band with the same intelligence and authority that had made him famous. What Sarah discovered upon her return exceeded all expectations. Thunder's band had grown to 17 members, an unusually large and successful family group, in an environment where resources were scarce. More remarkably, they had established a territory that spanned both sides of the canyon, regularly crossing the same river that had nearly claimed their leader's life. With approval from wildlife authorities, Sarah established a blind near one of their crossing points. On the third morning, she witnessed a scene that brought tears to her eyes. Thunder led his band to the river's edge, where they stopped in a precise formation. Two older mares positioned themselves downstream, while Thunder walked along the bank, seemingly testing water depth and current strength. Only after selecting the optimal crossing point did he lead his family into the river. Most astonishing of all was the way they crossed. Stronger adults surrounded the vulnerable foals, forming a living barrier against the current. The entire process displayed a level of strategic coordination once thought impossible for horses. What we're seeing is cultural evolution, explained Dr. Morgan, who had continued her research on Thunder's band. This isn't just one exceptional horse anymore, it's an entire family group that has developed unique adaptive behaviors. They've turned a natural barrier water into a strategic asset. It helps them evade predators and reach new resources. Thunder's legendary leap had created ripple effects throughout the ecosystem. Other Mustang bands were observed watching and eventually mimicking his family's river crossing techniques. Even more surprisingly, the local wolf packs had adapted, temporarily attempting to pursue Thunder's band near water features, where the horses now held the tactical advantage. In her final photograph from the trip, Sarah captured Thunder standing at the very same cliff edge where he had made his famous leap years earlier. His coat still gleamed black in the sunlight, though his muzzle now showed the gray of advancing age. He gazed out over his expanded territory with the same intelligent eyes that had once calculated an impossible leap. The wild stallion who defied death hadn't just changed his own destiny. He had transformed scientific understanding of what animals are capable of, learning, adapting, and teaching others. In choosing to leap toward an uncertain fate rather than surrender to a certain one, Thunder had leaped into legend. If this story touched your heart, please subscribe to our channel and share it with someone who appreciates the intelligence and spirit of wild animals. Let us know in the comments what amazed you most about Thunder's incredible journey.